to heat up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Plus Platoon. We are a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you are subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in straight from Europe, Pete. Pete, how you doing?
I just flew in from Munich, and boy, are my arms tired.
Waka waka. Next, we have joining us this week. We've got Steve. Steve, how's it going?
Going great. How are you, everyone?
Doing very, very, very well. And last, but certainly not least this week, we have got Sam. Sam, how's your evening going?
Excellent. How are you all doing tonight?
Doing okay. I'm doing great. I got one day left. Tomorrow's my last day of school. So, yay. And
I love that I get to meet Steve for the first time too. Over video. Yes. Of course, even though he lives like 30 minutes south of me, apparently. Pretty cool.
Hi, neighbor.
Yeah. We've got Ryan with us. It says, welcome back, Platooners, who's excited for Obi-Wan. Definitely, Ryan. We are going to be hitting that near the end of our show, seeing kind of what we expect out of that. But first, Disney it was National Streaming Day, if you were looking for the latest made-up holiday that Disney takes advantage of last Friday. And so there were a lot of announcements from Disney Plus. And Sam is going to cover most of those. Sam, what do we got?
It's time for the Disney Plus news. I felt like I needed to channel a little bit of, confuse Kate for the Disney Plus news tonight. We have a lot of stuff going on, guys, though. First on the list is Hocus Pocus 2 is going to be released September 30th on Disney Plus. It's going to follow the original Sanderson sisters as they attempt to return to Salem again. And we all know this is going to star the same three witches as the original. Pretty exciting.
Yeah. It's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm withholding judgment on that one.
Fair enough. All right. Well, next is Disney Plus has announced its ad-supported service, meaning it's going to have two versions of Disney Plus, one that's ad-supported and one without ads. But they have announced that they'll keep the ads to under 4 minutes or less per hour. They've also announced there won't be any political or alcohol ads on the show, and they haven't announced pricing, but it's likely going to coincide with the raising of the non-ad service price. And Disney executives are suggesting that they think more people will pick the ad-supported version of the platform because obviously it will be less expensive. I don't know about you guys, but I am not into the ad-supported version. I'm going to be paying a higher price for that no ad version.
Yeah, I'll probably keep the no ads too. This is probably the streaming service that I watch the most. So yeah.
Same.
I know for me, part of it's going to depend on what Verizon decides to pay for, because that's how we're getting all of our Disney stuff. Is because if you're a Verizon customer, you get it automatically. But if they give us a chance to pay up for the non-ad, I'm not paying for ad. I'll pay for no ads.
Yeah. Well, we've got some new Star Wars news coming out. One, it's been confirmed that the Star Wars series Andor is going to premiere sometime this summer, and The Mandalorian will be released either late 2022 or early 2023. And Ahsoka is going to come in 2023 as well. But Disney also announced a new Star Wars series codenamed Grammar Rodeo, and that it's in development from the Spider-Man Homecoming's John Watts. Nothing's confirmed about it at this time, so we'll have to wait for more news on that.
My guess is I will guess for Andor probably August into September, because September is still technically summer somehow.
Yeah. That new series, I heard somewhere that they are looking at doing like with younger, like teens or something like that, where it was going to be kind of like a Amblin 80s type style show. So I don't know if that's true or not.
It's something different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So in other news, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, a documentary that centers around Elton John's last concert, of course, is going to be coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney paid a ton of money for that.
I bet. Also, a new trailer was released for the upcoming Baymax series, which is going to premiere on June 29th. There's also been an announcement that Zombies 3 is soon going to be coming to Disney Plus. The Disney Channel movie is going to debut on July 15th. I believe Zombies 1 and Zombies 2 is already on the platform.
Has anyone watched 1 and 2?
I have not.
I've seen most of 1, and it's not good.
Okay.
It's kind
as an adult.
Yeah, it's kind of the tween crowd, like sort of High School Musical and the Descendants. It's kind of that same audience, I think.
It's fair.
Yeah, definitely Descendants crowd. High School Musical, to me, had a higher level of quality than some of these other ones did.
Well, speaking of High School Musical, there's going to be a season 4 of High School Musical, the series. And season 3 is going to premiere on July 27th, and it's going to center around a summer theater camp, and it's going to feature the musical Frozen. So I guess
why can't they just let this series go?
I know.
I had to say that, didn't
I beat you to it, didn't I, Pete?
Yeah.
I was not going to say it.
They've done summer theater camp stuff before. They don't need to do it again.
Well,
Well, I have to say the show must have done very well in its first 2 seasons for them to come out and say and announce the season 4 without having shown season 3, because that's pretty rare in streaming for them to come out and announce seasons past the next one.
But we already have Andor season 2 announced, and they gotta film season 4 while the kids still look young enough.
Yeah, they'll probably do a back-to-back filming. I
think they already look like 25, so
yeah.
But they want them to They don't want them to look like 35. Okay,
right.
So we still have a few more announcements, you guys. It's kind of crazy. So we've got a little bit of Marvel news. So there is a new Daredevil series that's in the works for Disney Plus, and the Daredevil characters that have appeared. There are some Daredevil characters that have appeared in recent MCU vehicles, such as Kingpin and Hawkeye, and Daredevil himself in Spider-Man: No Way Home. And Charlie Cox, who is Daredevil himself, is reported to be returning for the show, for the new series. In other Marvel news, Agatha House of Harkness is going to be beginning production this fall and will come out during the 2023-2024 TV season, meaning maybe a premiere around Halloween of 2023. Those are really exciting to me as a huge Marvel fan, of course. And then last but not least, Disenchanted, which is the sequel to Enchanted, is going to premiere on this Thanksgiving, November 24th. All 4 of the main characters are returning, as well as many new faces. It's set 10 years after the original, and it centers around Giselle being forced back to Andalasia after a spell backfires, and she's in the firing line of another evil queen played by Maya Rudolph. So it's got a great cast, and I guess we will wait and see. But that's it for the Disney Plus news.
Yeah, the Disenchanted sequel, the sequel looks intriguing on that one. So that could go a couple different directions.
Yeah,
so
I have to say I'm looking forward to that more than Hocus Pocus 2.
Very much so. So, all right. This week we had the premiere of Chippendale Rescue Rangers. It's not a reboot, it's a comeback. Well, I'm going to start with Steve on this one. Steve, was it a nostalgic reboot or was it just a mistake?
It's not a reboot. It's not a mistake. I'd say it's more of a callback. But I loved it. I loved all the Easter eggs. I definitely need to watch it again, just knowing there's parts I'm missing it. Some of my favorite were Winchell and Duncan, the donuts from Wreck-It Ralph. I loved the reference to Dip from Roger Rabbit, the little tube in there. I didn't grow up watching this series, but I still got lots of references from all other sorts of animation. I'm surprised how many non-Disney references that were throughout the movie. So overall, for a plot, predictable plot, but still very enjoyable. Found myself laughing out loud. Totally enjoyed the movie. Sam, what do you think?
So I would pretty much agree with everything you said, Steve. This was not a mistake, but the plot was kind of predictable and dopey and not great. But this movie was all about the cameos, the one-liners, the calls or the Easter eggs, as you called them, and seeing all these other characters from prior series, seeing Roger Rabbit, seeing Darkwing Duck, seeing just all of these random characters from all over, not just the Disney universe, but even, Simpsons and all kinds of animated series. I will say I didn't love the mix of animated with live action. And I also didn't love that that Dale had been CGI'd. I kind of wished that he had just been flat animated, just like Chip was. I thought that was kind of a silly, plot point, but it was enjoyable because there was a lot of really good one-liners, a lot of really funny parts in this movie, despite a pretty dopey plot. Derek, what did you think?
Well, I will say for once, I am smack dab in the middle of a target audience for a Disney movie. My generation is the target audience. We remember coming home after school and watching these. The cultural references were almost all 80s and 90s. The constant Easter eggs made the show. However, the movie itself was a huge mistake. The first 50 minutes of the movie or so are concerned more with being cute and bringing in jokes that some plot happens, but not a lot. We know that Chip and Dale had a falling out, and in the background, we hear that there are some tunes in trouble. But until we meet Sweet Pea, it is an incredibly dull movie. It felt like the writers were sitting around brainstorming any ideas they could come up with for cameos, and then decided to use every single one of them. For me, the movie improved when they got to the factory until the end, but the beginning is really a slog. I did think it was neat that the actress who played the original Gadget was Gadget in the movie. She's also the actress who she was Chip in the original, and she was when Chip and Dale go into high pitch. That was her doing that also.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize that. There were some great voice actors throughout the movie.
And Corey Burton, who did the original voices of Dale and Zipper, again, when they were the high voices, he came back and redid them. Jim Cummings, who is everywhere in Disney voice acting. He's been the new Tigger. He's been all those kind of things. Was the original Monty in about half the episodes. He comes back and does Monty. He also, Corey Burton, the Dale and Zipper, also was Cad Bane. So in all the Star Wars stuff, he has been Cad Bane on that. But despite all the neat tidbits, it does not overcome such a weak plot. There's a reason they brought this straight to Disney Plus. I had high hopes, but this was a huge miss for me. Pete?
So I'm kind of in the middle on it too. More so than Derek, more like Sam. I was expecting it to either be really bad or hilarious, and it was kind of neither. There were some very funny moments. I did like the ugly Sonic jokes. I thought that was pretty funny considering, and there were some, the Uncanny Valley and the Deadeye Polar Express. There were some jokes there that I did enjoy. A lot of jokes fell flat for me, though. And in addition to that, I don't know how anybody else found this. I was very distracted by them using John Mulaney and Andy Samberg for Chip and Dale.
Especially John Mulaney for Chip. That one really didn't work for me.
John Mulaney was worse, I think, of the two. But it wasn't that they did a bad job. It was just the entire time I'm thinking, oh, that's John Mulaney. Oh, that's and Andy Samberg even kind of played Dale like he played his character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So it was,
it's too much like them. It's people instead of like the characters, and you're picturing them too much in your head because their voices are so distinct. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know what they really like. Does their names? Do people go, "Oh, I'm going to watch the Chippendale movie because John Mulaney's in it"? Maybe, but I think
be funny because Andy Samberger's in it. I don't know.
You know, I mean, two guys that have good comedic timing, and I guess so. Maybe that's why they did it. But I found that distracting on my end. So I would say probably a little more of a mistake than a nostalgic reboot. But I'm also a little too old for Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I never watched the original show, so yeah.
Okay.
my daughter just said, "I'm a little too young."
Yeah, and that's a very fair criticism. My Sam and I's age, and to a little bit lesser extent Kate's age, were she here, is your target audience. Your 30 and 40 somethings are your target audience.
Right.
So Gina says she loves the movie because it's a spoof film. Not enough, Gina, I would say. Did love Senator Butthead. The bootlegs were those the family home video bootlegs. Yes, the everyone has seen those.
True.
It's or those are the ones that you can find on Netflix when Disney's not on there, and you search for Beauty and the Beast, and it comes up to Beauty and the Half Dog Man. Yeah. And Nick does say Ant-Man for the win.
I loved that.
That was pretty good.
That one worked.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, if we all agree this was kind of a mixed bag, leaning towards not quite so classic, Sam, I'm going to start with you, and I know you wanted to start this first. What old show or movie would you like to see done as either a reboot or a comeback, and do it either as a movie or a series?
Okay. So because they've already rebooted DuckTales, so I had to set DuckTales aside. And I have to go with gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. And I have to sing it because these cartoons, as Derek said, these are our generation's cartoons. This is what we would watch Saturday mornings. This is what we would watch when we got home from school. So it's, it was all about Rescue Rangers, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, and Gummy Bears. And Gummy Bears was one of the best. And it is Disney. Oh, Tailspin. I forgot about Tailspin. That's a great one too. So all these are great, but I have to go with Gummy Bears. I mean, it starts with a great catchy theme song. It's got adorable, cute characters, and it just brings back all the feels for this 80s and 90s kid. Derek?
Okay. Well, I want to start by saying that based on recent history, the fact that original stories seem to be in very short supply, there's a good chance that several of these will actually show up on Disney Plus at some point.
Fair point.
And with that in mind, my initial reaction to the reboot question was the original Zorro TV show. And I know they are remaking that. It's rumored to be in production. I know they've hired the lead. My hope is they don't take it too seriously. You got to keep the pratfalls. You got to keep the Fat Sergeant. You got to keep the fact that Bernardo was mute and pretended to be deaf, because it wasn't played for humor. It was critical to the show, and he was so smart, and it will really lose something if they try to take it super seriously. I'm okay if it's in color. The original was in black and white, but if it's in color, it needs to be Technicrayon. It needs to be the super saturated, bright. Film it like a telenovela that's not taking itself seriously. So,
and you're saying TV series, not movie, right? That's what I was saying.
Do it as a TV series.
The TV series, yeah.
They've kind of done it as a movie with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins. The first one was much better than the second, but it still didn't have quite the right feel for me. So, Pete, what about you?
Yeah, you should be producing that, but I doubt that's what we're going to get.
Disney hasn't called yet.
I'm going to go with the favorite of my daughters that they actually did try to reboot a couple years ago, and it was terrible. But I'd like to see an animated reboot, which is Kim Possible. My daughter really liked that show. She was actually a little too young, like it was already off the air, and we had to like really search it out. But she loved the show, and then they rebooted it as a live action show, like movie, a couple years ago, and it was awful. So I forget the live action. Let's bring it back as an animated series. That's my vote.
Okay, Steve.
I'm going to go more recent. I like to see a reboot of Gravity Falls. Because I came across Gravity Falls because my students were watching it a few years ago and just loved the weirdness of it. I loved like the hidden ciphers and puzzles in it. So my vote would be for Gravity Falls.
I love that vote, Steve, because I'm obsessed with Gravity Falls. And if there was a Gravity Falls, Oregon, you can bet that me and my family would be driving down there to go see Stan's Shack.
Okay. Nick's vote is Darkwing Duck. Gina says that even the movie alluded to it. Yeah, that was your credit scene. Second place is Tailspin. Nick says a Captain EO2. You're gonna have to do some massive recasting on that one. Or Muppet Babies. Nick, they tried that. It was horrible. They tried that. It was terrible.
My son actually didn't mind it. It wasn't like a favorite or anything, but he enjoyed it. But it was definitely for like the younger kid crowd. And so it was more like the Disney Junior type stuff.
Okay. Now, anyone have a second show they would want to see redone? Because I do. I've got two older movies that could be redone. One is The Ugly Dachshund.
I don't even know that one.
Which is basically a Great Dane is raised with a bunch of dachshunds, so it thinks it's a dachshund. The Beethoven movies worked. That would be who doesn't love a dog movie? Let's think Air Bud and Beethoven, that whole thing. But the one I was really thinking about was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. With all of the adventure movies being made, you've got a story that people are vaguely familiar with, but most people don't really know, but it has the name recognition. Most people have heard of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's got the Mad Captain, who everyone would think stole the organ playing bit from Davy Jones, but it was really kind of the other way around. And I would love to see it keep practical effects for the sea monsters, not so much CGI. And it has Jerry Bruckheimer written all over it. No, it would. Okay,
because he already did Pirates of the Caribbean. I would think it would feel too pirate. But
it would be hard. Yeah, it'd be hard to not go super piratey.
So you're probably going to be happy, Derek, because they are rebooting 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There's a series that's coming called Nautilus.
See, I do it as a movie.
Well, they're doing it as a
series. Now, the one that a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on, I think there is a way you could redo Song of the South. I think you could keep a lot of the original, and I even think you could keep a lot of the original animation. You couldn't keep all of it. There's a scene in there, how they originally catch Brer Rabbit, you definitely could not keep, because they catch him with a literal person made out of tar and the racial slur that goes along with it. But I don't know how, but to me, I think it could work. No, Pete?
I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe you can make it work.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I'll be honest, I've actually never seen it. And so I only know like just about the tar baby thing, but I've never watched it. And so
the idea behind it is he's, the old happy old slave that's telling all these stories to the little white kids that are on the plantation and talking about, has all these stories with Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox and Brer Bear. And it's incredibly racist. But
it's definitely something that I wish they would present it that you could see it, but they would also very much need to
put the huge tag on it.
Right. Yeah. Very, very much say, of a certain time.
I'm not loving Derek's additional ones, but I love Nick. Nick Anderson has another comment. of dinosaurs.
Not
Not the mama, not the mama, not the mama.
Okay, now, okay, I'm going to throw this in here. Gina, you're going to have to think on your toes. Guys, what is a show you think should never be redone? A show that you think is as it is should never get redone. And since I thought of this a little bit ahead of time, I will go first. Okay, Pete's Dragon. Oh, wait. Dumbo. Oh, wait. Mary Pop, okay, no. Anyway, the two that come to mind for me are Old Yeller and the original Apple Dumpling Gang. Old Yeller, no one wants to do an animal movie and ugly cry. I mean, because it happens. The Apple Dumpling Gang, the best you could get is two comedians trying to do their Don Knotts and Tim Conway impersonations. It's a wholesome show that may just end up in the vault at some point fairly soon. So, Pete, what's a show?
So not quite Disney, but ABC is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
Please never reboot Lost.
Oh.
You can if you make a better ending. If you redo the ending, then you can.
But it wasn't a good show.
Yeah, well, I mean, the early part of the show was very good, but yeah, it kind of spiraled out of control, and
jumped the shark.
I just don't want to see him try again.
I don't know what to say. Actually comes to mind, no more Herbie the Love Bug movies. They tried to reboot. It did not work. Leave the originals alone. Do not reboot Herbie.
Okay.
I think that would be hard to pull off today, so I would agree with that.
I'm going to tell them to stop making live action movies out of animated movies and don't make a Little Mermaid live action movie.
Too late. Sorry, it's coming.
No, say it ain't so. I know I know there's a stage show coming and I'm okay with the stage show version, but ixnay on the remake of animations.
I would agree with that. And Gina says no more animal CGI. And I think that was played off with and Chippendale went the Baloo from the reboot of Jungle Book. Yes. Yeah, just no more, none of that. Okay. Now, as we always do, we are going to do Pixie Dust for the Chippendale movie. Pete, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this. I think I'm going to give it a 2. I was tempted to give it a 2.5 because there were a lot of jokes that hit. But I just don't see me ever rewatching it. And I don't think I would recommend it unless you're like if you're a really big Chippendale fan, sure. But so 2.
Okay.
I say immediately after watching it, I was at 3.5, but after letting it sit for like 2 days, I'm reducing it to a 3. It was an enjoyable movie. I loved all the Easter eggs. Definitely laughed out loud through it, but because of weakness of plot, I'm dropping down to a 3. Sam, what do you think?
I would give it a 2.5. I was thinking about giving it only a 2, but I think what you said about rewatching it to see more of the Easter eggs and to see all the things I missed, I think I will rewatch it for that very purpose. And that's why I've got to bump it from a 2 to a 2.5, because it does have some rewatchability based on that. Derek, what do you give it? Probably like a 0 or a 1?
Mainly because of the jokes, I'm going to give it, and the cameos. I'm actually going to be with Pete. I'm going to give it a 2, because if someone has it on, I will watch it in the background, like if I'm reading thing and I'm glancing up and oh yeah, I remember that part. And oh yeah, that I remember that cameo and that cameo and that cameo. I care nothing about the plot, so it's a watch in the background, maybe even with the sound off type thing.
I do have to say though, now I want to see Batman versus ET.
Yeah,
that was one of the funniest scenes. I have to agree.
So, and then Gina says she's going to give it a 3.5 for cameos and jokes. The storyline was silly and weak. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. So next week, we are going to be starting the Obi-Wan series. Obi-Wan comes out with 2 episodes on a Friday. And Sam, you say you haven't seen much on this one yet at the moment?
Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer. I haven't read anything about it. I have no predictions, but Gina does because she's our
in that case, I'm gonna pull in Gina, and Sam, we will see you at the finale. So
Hi.
Gina, I'm gonna start with I had put down me to start.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm gonna produce a host prerogative. I'm gonna go ahead and start it.
Okay, go ahead.
First thing is, this is not going to be a happy series. It's 10 years after Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith. It's 10 years before New Hope. The Jedi are dead or going to be killed. The Empire is taking over things. Obi-Wan is isolated. The one thing I liked about Obi-Wan is that he rarely seemed to jump into things without thinking them through first or having some kind of a plan. He was very measured, not reactionary. I know there's going to be fight scenes, but this is one where the story is going to have to carry the series for me. The big fight scene in every episode would be we can't think of more stories, so let's put in a fight for me. There's going to be a Vader versus Obi-Wan scene at some point, but I really hope that's at the finale to close it and that there's only one. And to me, I have it similar to the end of maybe even Force Awakens, where they're interrupted and have to continue it later. Obi should still be beating Darth Vader at this point, because that would make the whole, I was the student, now I am the master. He also needs to call him Darth at some point, because otherwise that doesn't make sense in New Hope. Obviously, we're retconning stuff that no one had any idea was going to be coming up. I want the Obi-Wan that knows his job is to protect Luke and avoid, as he would put later, any Imperial entanglements, with the hint of the dry humor. I'm optimistic for the series. Gina?
Okay, so my prediction is it's going to be very slow. And I really think we're going to have a lot of, this is my joke, is that we're going to have a lot of meditative scenes, and I'll watch it and be happy. But I really believe it's going to be very introspective, because Obi-Wan is very introspective. So where we had all the action with some of the other Mandalorian shows, for the Mandalorian series, I think it's going to be slow like Boba Fett. I really feel like it's going to be a lot of stories slogging through. We know he's seen a lot of stuff. We know he's lonely and alone and watching over. He's taking care of the Skywalker farm over there. He's just hanging out, and things will come up. He'll deal with the Sand People. He'll deal with the Jawas. He'll deal with all the people that we've seen through the other series.
Jedi hunters.
Yes, he's going to deal with all of these things. There will be the confrontation. I'm so excited for that. He will call him Vader, because he did switch over. We saw the rise of Vader in Revenge of the Sith. So we do know he does know of his Sith following now. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm very excited. My friend was Ewan McGregor Stanton. He's going to be on the show soon, so we'll hear all about his journey. And I'm very excited to see Obi-Wan sitting in front of a fire for an hour, and I will enjoy every minute. Pete, what about you?
Well, I do agree with you. I think it might have a slow start, because to me, if they're putting 2 episodes out, especially such a short series, it's only 6 episodes, and they're putting 2 episodes out, my guess is the first episode is probably a little slow, and so they want to have, they might consider the second episode more action packed or something like that. I don't have a lot of predictions. I mean, it seems weird to me. I mean, clearly from the promos, they're going to have the Jedi hunters that we see in like Star Wars Rebels, but it's like, it seems like he's going to start on Tatooine, and then at the end he has to end up on Tatooine.
He's not going to leave the desert.
Well, but yet someone in there, he has to have all these confrontations not on Tatooine, because if they know he's on Tatooine, he can't stay there.
True.
Right? True. So I think he's going to quickly after the, maybe not in the first episode, but by the second episode, I think he's going to be off world on some kind of quest to protect Luke or something like that. And that's where he runs into the hunters and things like that. So, because I think I hope. I mean, you mentioned like having a bunch of Tatooine stuff. We've had enough Tatooine with.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I really,
with Boba Fett. Let's not spend too much time. Please.
I just feel like these directors want us to be on the desert with 2 sons and no women forever. They just want us to be there. So.
Yeah, please stop.
Yeah. Okay. Steve?
I don't think I have anything to add. Everyone covered it. So
Okay.
I'm hoping it's more exciting than Boba Fett. And I don't think it's going to live up to The Mandalorian, but yes. So
Okay.
better than Boba Fett, not exciting as Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So.
And Nick says he's hoping for less flashback whiplash than the early books of Boba Fett. I would
Yes.
totally agree.
I don't
I
think
mean,
they should. That's
there
silly.
will be
Watch
some.
a movie.
There will be some, but anyway. And as Ed says, the desert metaphor ties us back to our current reality. You're teaching. You're talking to 3 teachers here, Ed. So yeah, long time in the desert with not much hope of water at the end of it.
We're still in the desert, 2 sons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, Darth Vader wouldn't come back to Tatooine because
No.
He doesn't like sand.
He hates sand.
But he also knows that. I mean, at some point. I don't know if they're still going after Obi-Wan, there are only 5 people are going to survive this series: Vader, Obi-Wan, Uncle Owen, Emperor, and Luke. Everyone else could die.
True.
But those 5 are going to survive. So, and Ryan says,
and that's why I think it's not going to be as much about protecting Luke as some people think.
I don't think it is either. I think it's going to be about Obi-Wan avoiding the Jedi hunters.
Yeah.
So,
I think he's going to go on some kind of quest.
I'd agree. Expectations for the show are quite high. Fingers crossed, says Ryan. So, well, we'll know more next week because this is what we're watching for next week. We got 2 episodes coming. Gonna pull Sam back in, and and so with that, guys, I'm looking forward to the Obi-Wan series. I have been for a while now.
Yeah.
This is the one.
I'm gonna have to download it on my devices because I'm going to
I'm
going to Disneyland this weekend. I'm gonna go see Gina.
Oh, nice.
You'll be on a plane.
Yeah.
If I can watch Chippendale and Innsbruck, you can watch Obi-Wan and Disneyland.
It'll be fine.
Got it.
I want to do a quick callback. So you were at the base of at the village near Neuschwanstein in Germany, correct?
Yes, leave that on. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Was that the village in Moon Knight? Because
I don't think so.
You sure?
No, because there's a lake there and everything, and it's very steep. I don't think it was.
But it had I know we can go back and you and I should go back and look at it at some point because I promise you I saw Neuschwanstein in the background with the episode 1 village of where we first meet Harrow with the scales and he's I'm 99% sure that was
I don't think it was.
You don't think it was? Okay.
Ed has a little.
Ed says there was a book series about Obi-Wan, and he did go on a quest. Runs into a young Boba Fett. Really?
That could happen. Boba Fett is a young person.
As long as if it could turn into like a Mandalorian season
3.5.
Yeah.
No, at this point, it'd still be
Boba Fett
2.75.
Yeah.
It'd be
Boba Fett 2.1. Yeah.
No more Boba Fett either.
Yeah. And Nick, anytime the platooners get together, we take pictures and we post them.
We will.
So,
Gina and I will take some pictures for sure, and we will post them on the Plus Platoon social media. We'll post them on some My DVC Points social media and on the DCL Duo social media. So you will see it on all of the stuff that Gina and I are involved in. Yeah.
Sounds great, ladies. Okay. if we are looking for a couple of vault shows coming up, we've got several coming up in June. We got one coming up in July. So anyway, sorry, I got to pull Ed's comment up here in just a little bit. But if you have suggestions for the vault shows, please email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. I know, Steve, you sent us a couple. We've got a couple.
And now you're here. And now
you're here. Yeah. So if you want to be on our show, email us and let us know. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Our Instagram's been blowing up lately. Thank you, Pete. And as Ed says, a baby Boba Fett would be like Muppet babies. I'm not sure if that's a good thing. I mean, okay, you got a baby Boba Fett, you got a baby Greedo, you've got a
baby Luke.
Baby Grogu.
Baby Luke.
Baby
Grogu.
Baby Boba Fett is Clone Wars.
Yeah.
He's a kid in the Clone Wars series.
He's a kid in Rebels. He's actually a kid.
He's a kid in the prequels.
Yeah, and he's a kid in Rebels.
Yeah, that too.
That's when he's the kid.
Yeah.
Oh, Ed says baby Mandalorian. In his little uniform too. I love it.
Okay, but would he have his helmet on or helmet off?
His helmet would be on.
It would be on.
It would be on. It would be really oversized.
He's only
Making like a Funko type thing. With
oversized helmet, too big, falling off.
Yeah.
So,
very large head, very short arms and legs.
Yes.
So we will see everyone next week. We are again doing.
He's killing us. Ed, you're killing us.
Because that would be the way it would have. Yeah. Ed, leave comedy to the bears. So we are going to see you next week. We will be doing the Obi-Wan series, season episodes 1 and 2. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
May the force be.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews, as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @PlusPlatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode, because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.